Ever wonder what it feels like to witness a legend born in real time? To watch a single car ignite a national frenzy, rewrite the rules of the collector market, and somehow manage to be both a symbol of celebration and a cautionary tale at once? Well, buckle up, because today we are diving deep into the untold, strange, and sometimes downright bizarre history of the 1978 Chevrolet Corvette. 20 facts that will make you look at this American icon in a completely different way. And trust us, by the time we hit number 1, your jaw is going to hit the floor. If you love classic American muscle, hit that like button right now. It means the world to us. Let's go.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Nostalgia Rides for more legendary cars.
Number 20. The car that launched an investment revolution and then proved it wrong. The 1978 Chevrolet Corvette did something that no other American automobile had done before it, in quite the same way. It turned the concept of a production automobile into a financial instrument. The Wall Street Journal article, the dealer markups, the sealed garages, the climate-controlled storage units filled with cars that had never seen rain. All of it was new. All of it began here. And when the bubble burst, the lesson it delivered was equally unprecedented. Thousands of buyers learned that a collectible is only as valuable as its rarity. And when 6,500 people all own the same car, it is no longer rare at all. Today, well-preserved examples are genuinely desirable. Fetching respectable prices at major auctions, the last pace car produced sold at Miami's Kissam auction in January 2023 for $110,000, a figure that would have satisfied those 1978 speculators had they been patient enough to wait 45 years. The 1978 Corvette was simultaneously a triumph of American automotive design, a cautionary tale of market speculation, a genuine milestone of motorsport history, and the birthday car of America's most beloved sports car. Every one of those stories is still playing out in garages, at auctions, and on tracks to this day. Number 19, the total production number that tells the whole story. Across all variants, the 1978 Corvette ended up with a total production run of 46,776 units. That number tells the story of the model year better than almost anything else. Of those, 15,283 were Silver Anniversary Edition cars, 652 were pace car replicas, 12,739 were fitted with the more powerful L82 engine, 12,590 received the Gymkhana suspension in terms of color. The most popular paint was not perhaps surprisingly silver, it was classic white with 4,150 units. Silver came second at 3,232. The pace car's distinctive black and silver accounted for all 652 replicas: red, dark blue, mahogany, beige, light blue, yellow, and dark browned out the rest. What these numbers reveal is a model year of almost unprecedented variety and complexity for a single Corvette generation. A year in which Chevrolet tried to be everything to everyone and largely succeeded. Number 18. The T-top glass panels that changed the Corvette forever. The 1978 Corvette was the first model year to offer glass T-top roof panels as a factory option. Prior to 1978, Corvette buyers who wanted a removable roof had to settle for body-cold or tinted solid roof panels. The introduction of transparent glass T-tops transformed the driving experience. Suddenly, Corvette owners could enjoy an open-air sensation without the wind buffeting and noise of a fully open convertible. The glass T-tops became instantly popular and were included as standard equipment on the pace car replicas. Another detail that distinguished them visually and experientially from the standard car, the introduction of glass T-tops also coincided with important changes to how the removed panels could be stored. The 1978's redesigned rear hatch, enabled by that sweeping new fastback window, created interior space that allowed the T-top panels to be stored inside the car. This practical detail addressed one of the persistent complaints about earlier removable roof Corvettes. Where exactly were you supposed to put the roof when you took it off? The 1978 had an elegant answer baked right into its architecture. Number 17. The silver leather interior that no one expected. When Chevrolet's legendary design chief, Bill Mitchell, sat down to create the interior of the 1978 pace car replica, He did something that practically no American sports car interior of that era had attempted. He specified a full silver leather upholstery treatment, or a silver leather and gray cloth combination, paired with gray carpeting throughout the cabin. The result was a strikingly cohesive interior that felt genuinely luxurious by the standards of 1978 American sports cars. Mitchell's influence on the pace car's design went beyond mere aesthetics. The thin shell lumbar support seats introduced in the pace car were a genuine ergonomic advancement, offering better lateral support than the standard Corvette seats. These seats would prove so popular that they were carried over as standard equipment on the 1979 Corvette. The silver en-gray color scheme chosen by Mitchell was also highly intentional. It was reportedly his favorite color combination. He saw the 25th anniversary as the perfect moment to apply it to the car he had shaped more than perhaps any other individual in Chevrolet's history. Number 16. The Gymkhana suspension package, and what it actually meant among the various options. Available on the 1978 Corvette 2.1 stands out as particularly beloved by enthusiasts who actually drove their cars hard rather than storing them in garages. The FE7 Gymkhana suspension package represented a serious performance upgrade available to buyers who wanted the most capable handling setup the 1978 Corvette had to offer. The package included heavy-duty front and rear shock absorbers, a larger diameter front stabilizer bar, a rear stabilizer bar, which the standard car did not include, and higher rate front and rear springs. The name itself was derived from the Gymkhana motorsport events popular in North America at the time. Autocross-style competitions held in parking lots and open spaces that tested a driver's precision and car control. For buyers who wanted a Corvette that could genuinely carve up a twisty road rather than simply posture on a straight one, the Gymkhana package was the answer. The actual Indianapolis 500 pace car used at the race was fitted with the Gymkhana suspension, and buyers of pace car replicas could specify it as well today. Gymkhana-equipped examples of the 1978 Corvette are among the most sought after by enthusiasts who prioritize driving dynamics over display value. Number 15. The first time a Corvette ever paced the Indianapolis 500, despite long history with the Indianapolis 500. It took a surprisingly long time for the Corvette specifically to earn the honor of pacing the race. A Chevrolet had first paced the 500 back in 1948, a Fleetmaster 6, driven by Wilbur Shaw, the race in 1955. Camaros led the field in 1967 and again in 1969, but the Corvette, Chevrolet's dedicated performance flagship, the car that existed for no other reason than to be the ultimate American sports car, had never served as pace car in 25 years of existence. The wait ended in 1978, and it did so in historic fashion. The 1978 pace car was the first truly stock, unmodified production automobile to pace the Indianapolis 500. Previous pace cars had typically required mechanical modifications to handle the demands of the job. That distinction made the Corvette's debut at the Brickyard all the more meaningful. Chevrolet had waited a quarter century for this moment, and when it finally arrived, they made sure the car earned its place on merit alone. Number 14. The actual race cars, all 4 of them, while 652 replicas were sold to the public. The actual working pace cars used at the 62nd Indianapolis 500 on May 28, 1978, numbered just 4, and each one has its own fascinating history. The car that actually led the starting field into the first lap was driven by Jim Waithman, a Florida-based Chevrolet and Cadillac dealer who had won the Indianapolis 500 himself back in 1960. Rathman was not just a figurehead, he was a genuine racing legend. The actual pace car Rathman drove that day now resides permanently at General Motors Heritage Center. The second of the 4 working cars used by the chief steward during practice sessions throughout the month of May is on permanent display at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. The third car was used for VIP parade laps and was subsequently presented to the winner of the 1978 race, Al Unser Sr., who reportedly still owned it years after the race. The fourth car handled promotional duties and was eventually sold to a Kansas Chevrolet dealer. Of these 4 authentic race day cars, none is a pace car replica in the way that the 652 public versions were. They are an entirely different category of rarity. Number 13. The investment that almost never paid off. Here's the sobering conclusion to the pace car frenzy story. Thousands of buyers who paid inflated prices for 1978 pace car replicas and tucked them away in climate-controlled garages, waiting for values to keep climbing, eventually discovered a harsh truth. Chevrolet had built 652 of them. That is not a small number. The speculative bubble collapsed. Values that had briefly touched $75,000 slid back to earth with brutal efficiency. Buyers who had paid enormous premiums found themselves holding cars worth far less than they had spent. One particularly vivid example involves a pace car that surfaced decades later with just 293 total miles on its odometer. The original owner had bought it as an investment in 1978, put it away and as the video documenting the car's rediscovery makes clear, the investment did not pan out as expected today. Excellent examples of the 1978 pace car replica are genuinely collectible and command respectable prices. But the dreams of $75,000 windfalls never materialized for the vast majority of speculators. Number 12. The dealers who charged twice the sticker price. With a Wall Street Journal fanning the flames of collector hysteria, Chevrolet dealers quickly realized they were sitting on something extraordinary. The 1978 pace car replica carried an official suggested retail price of $13,653. But suggested retail prices are merely suggestions. Some dealers were adding markups of $5,000 or more on top of the sticker price, delivering a car that cost the buyer nearly as much as two base model Corvettes. In the secondary market, her prices climbed even higher. Reports document pace car replicas changing hands for $3,040,000, and in some cases, $75,000. Customers filed lawsuits against dealers who had taken deposits at agreed prices and then refused to honor those prices when the cars arrived. The chaos surrounding the 1978 pace car marked one of the first modern examples of dealer markup frenzy. On a limited edition American automobile, a phenomenon that would repeat itself with remarkable familiarity decades later with other coveted limited production Corvettes. Number 11. The pace car that was almost never built and then built 6,500 times. Here is the truly strange story at the heart of the 1978 Corvette. When Chevrolet first conceived the Indy 500 pace car replica, and the plan was to build a very limited run of just 300 cars, chosen specifically to honor the roughly 300 Corvettes produced in the very first model year of 1953. It was a poetic, historically resonant number. Chevrolet even briefly considered producing 300 matching sets of Goodyear tires emblazoned with the Corvette name as a companion collectible. But then the Wall Street Journal article hit, and dealer demand exploded. Chevrolet found itself facing an impossible situation. Thousands of dealers, each desperately wanting at least one pace car replica for their showroom, the company made a fateful decision. Rather than hold firm at 300, they agreed to build one pace car replica for each of their 652 dealers nationwide in a single business decision. A Chevrolet multiplied their planned production run by more than 21 times. The car went from an ultra-rare collector's artifact to a relatively common commodity, and the speculative bubble began deflating immediately. Number 10. The Wall Street Journal article that started a buying frenzy. In spring of 1978, an article appeared on the front page of the Wall Street Journal under the headline, "Few want to drive this car, but many are eager to buy it." The article focused on the Indy 500 pace car replica Corvette, speculating that production would be extremely limited and that the cars would quickly become valuable, potentially worth as much as $75,000 within months. The article hit newsstands while production had only been underway for 9 days. Almost overnight, the frenzy began. Customers flooded dealerships across the country. Phone lines jammed. Orders poured in faster than Chevrolet could track them. The Wall Street Journal had essentially turned a special edition Corvette into a speculative commodity before most Americans had even seen one. The irony of the headline that the car was more eagerly bought than driven proved grimly prophetic. Thousands of pace car replicas would spend the following decades sealed in garages, their owners waiting for a payday that for most never arrived. Number 9. The first two-tone factory Corvette since 1961. There is a detail buried inside the silver anniversary story that deserves its own spotlight. The two-tone paint scheme on the 1978 silver anniversary model was the first factory-offered two-tone color option on a Corvette since 1961. A gap of 17 years, the early Corvettes of the 1950s and early 60s had embraced contrasting color combinations as part of their cheerful, optimistic character. The sportier, more aggressive muscle car era that followed had moved decisively towards single bold colors, electric blue, competition orange, Can-Am white. The return of the two-tone treatment in 1978 felt like a subtle nod to the Corvette's more elegant origins, wrapped in the contemporary language of the silver anniversary. Collectors of both vintage and anniversary Corvettes have noted this historical connection with particular appreciation in seeing the 1978 package not just as a birthday celebration, but as a genuine bridge between two distinct eras of the car's design history. Number 8. The silver anniversary paint job that cost less than $400. In 1978, Chevrolet offered a special silver anniversary edition of the Corvette to mark 25 years of the model's existence. The package featured a stunning two-tone paint scheme, a silver metallic upper body over a charcoal silver lower body separated by a delicate pinstripe. Silver anniversary badges were mounted on the nose and rear deck. Mandatory aluminum wheels and dual sport mirrors rounded out the package. And the price for all of this, just $399 over the base price of the car, which itself started at $9,352. What made this figure remarkable was the profit margin it represented for Chevrolet. The actual cost to manufacture the special paint treatment was far lower than what buyers were charged. The anniversary package was, in essence, a brilliantly engineered marketing move. Chevrolet took a relatively inexpensive modification and transformed it into a must-have commemorative edition that drove enormous showroom traffic. Over 15,000 silver anniversary Corvettes were produced that year, making it one of the most popular option packages in the model's history to that point. Number 7. The speedometer that told drivers to slow down. By law, by 1978, the federal government had become deeply involved in the design of American automobiles, the National Maximum Speed Law. Enacted during the oil crisis of 1974, had set a nationwide speed limit of 55 miles per hour. Federal regulators were now pushing to mandate that speedometers and passenger vehicles limit their maximum reading to 85 miles per hour. While this regulation would not become fully mandatory until the 1980 model year. Some 1979 Corvettes were already being fitted with the restricted 85 miles per hour speedometer. The 1978 model still carried the older, higher reading gauges, making them the last Corvettes for some time that openly acknowledged the car's true performance potential in the instrument cluster. Enthusiasts look back on this era with particular frustration, noting the government was essentially asking American sports car makers to build cars embarrassed by their own dashboards. Number 6. The engine paint job that changed without explanation. Here is a genuinely odd piece of 1978 Corvette trivia that has puzzled collectors and historians alike. Early in the production run, Chevrolet quietly changed the color used to paint the Corvette's V8 engine. For years, Corvette engines had been finished in what was known as Chevy Orange, a warm, vibrant engine bay color that had become almost as iconic as the car itself among enthusiasts. Midway through the 1978 production run, with no announcement, the orange paint was replaced with corporate blue. No press release was issued, no dealer communication explained the change. Cars built early in the model year have orange engines. Cars built later have blue engines. Both are authentic numbers-matching vehicles. The reason for the switch has never been definitively established, though some historians believe it was related to a broader push within General Motors to standardize engine colors across its various divisions. For collectors today, an early production 1978 Corvette with its original Chevy Orange engine is considered a particularly interesting specimen. Number 5. The Stingray name vanished, and almost nobody noticed. Here's a detail that even dedicated Corvette fans frequently get wrong: the iconic Stingray. The script, which had appeared on the front fenders of every C3 Corvette since 1969, disappeared completely on the 1978 model in its place. Chevrolet introduced crossed flags emblems that began appearing on the fenders partway through the model year, though not on every single car, creating an interesting quirk for collectors. The Stingray name would not return to any production Corvette for another 36 years, eventually reappearing with the launch of the 7th generation C7 Corvette in 2014. So on the very car that was supposed to be a celebratory showcase of 25 years of Corvette heritage, Chevrolet quietly retired one of the most beloved names in American automotive history. The decision was never formally announced or explained. It simply happened. Automotive historians have speculated that it was part of a broader effort to modernize and simplify the Corvette's visual identity, but the true reasoning remains somewhat murky to this day. Number 3. The first Corvette ever to come with a glove box. This one sounds almost too simple to be true, but it is one of those facts that stops every Corvette enthusiast cold the first time they hear it. The 1978 Corvette was the first model in the car's entire 25-year history to include a genuine glove box. Think about that for a moment. For 2.5 decades, drivers of America's premier sports car had no proper place to store so much as a road map. The absence of a glove box had been one of the most persistent criticisms leveled at the C3 Corvette since its debut in 1968. Chevrolet finally addressed this glaring omission for the anniversary year, installing a proper lockable glove box on the passenger side. One automotive writer quipped that Chevrolet had managed to spend 25 years building the world's most exciting car and forgotten to include somewhere to put your sunglasses. The 1978 fix was overdue, but it was genuinely welcome. Number 2. The window that had been missing for 11 years when Chevrolet engineers replaced those flying buttress sail panels with that dramatic, curved fastback glass. They were not just updating the look of the car. They were bringing back a design element that Corvette fans had not seen since 1967, 11 full years earlier. The fastback roofline had been a defining characteristic of the legendary second-generation Corvettes, the Stingrays of the early 1960s. When the third generation arrived in 1968, that silhouette vanished, replaced by the vertical rear glass and sail panel combination that became the C3's calling card. But by 1977, the nostalgia for that classic fastback shape was palpable among enthusiasts. When the 1978 arrived with its sweeping new rear glass, the reaction in automotive circles was electric. Car and Driver magazine called it a genuine transformation. Road and Track described the reworked Corvette as suddenly relevant again. What makes this story fascinating is how such a relatively inexpensive design change could generate such outsized enthusiasm. Chevrolet had essentially rediscovered something they already owned, and the market rewarded them handsomely for it. Number 1. The Corvette that almost never turned 25. By 1977, General Motors had a serious problem. The third-generation Corvette, known as the C3, and nicknamed the Shark for its swooping styling, had barely changed in 4 years. Reviewers were restless. Buyers were yawning. The revolutionary sports car that had stunned the world back in 1968 was starting to feel like yesterday's news. And the worst part, Chevrolet knew it. Engineers and designers were under enormous pressure to do something dramatic for the upcoming 25th anniversary. And they had almost no money to do it with. The solution they landed on was audacious in its simplicity. Rather than engineering an entirely new vehicle, they would change the face of the car by removing one of its most iconic features. The old rear sail panels, dramatic angular buttresses that framed a vertical back window, were swept away and replaced with a sweeping eco-compound curved fastback rear window. That single change, executed on a shoestring budget, was enough to make the 1978 Corvette feel like an entirely new machine. It was a masterclass in doing more with less, and it saved the Corvette's anniversary from becoming an embarrassing footnote. Number 4. The gas tank that nearly doubled overnight. Another significant change that the 1978 brought was a massive upgrade to the fuel tank. The previous C3 Corvettes carried a 17-gallon fuel tank, perfectly adequate for around-town driving, but frustrating on long highway stretches, especially as fuel economy in the mid-1970s was hardly inspiring. For 1978, Chevrolet enlarged the fuel tank to 24 gall, an increase of 7 gall, or roughly 41%. For drivers accustomed to frequent fuel stops, this was a genuinely meaningful quality of life improvement. Combined with the new rear window's expanded luggage area, the 1978 suddenly felt far more practical. As a touring machine, Chevrolet was quietly acknowledging that sports car buyers in the post-oil crisis era wanted performance. But they also wanted the ability to actually get somewhere without constant pit stops. Which of these facts blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments below if you enjoyed this deep dive. Smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories from the history of the machines that made America.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Nostalgia Rides for more legendary cars, forgotten classics, and the real stories behind automotive history.